You've been trained like a puppy. Every time she smiles, let you throw her a compliment. Every time she walks into the room, you scramble to validate her existence. You look beautiful. You're amazing. I'm lucky to have you. You think it's loyalty? You think it's love, but all she hears is desperation. Every praise you give without restraint rots your value in her mind. You're flooding a desert that was never supposed to have rain. You're watering something that only grows when it's starved. They told you women love kind men. They lied. They love power. And praise unearned. Predictable. Constant praise is weakness. It's a currency you devalued because you printed too much of it. You think attention is affection, but she's addicted to the absence, not the flood. Scarcity is what triggers desire. And in your need to be a good man, you became a mirror, reflecting her beauty, her mood, her whims, until she doesn't even see you anymore. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to reverse that. How to starve her for attention so deeply that your silence becomes the loudest thing in her head. She doesn't want compliments. She wants tension. She wants to be disoriented. Let's start with a brutal truth. She does not crave the compliment. She craves the contrast. You're sitting across from her. Candlelight. Maybe. Her makeup is perfect. Her dress. Deliberate. She's checking your eyes, scanning your lips, waiting for that dopamine hit the compliment she knows is coming. But instead, you just look. Calm, silent, no validation, just presence. Just the first few seconds. She's confused, then irritated, then intrigued. Why isn't he saying anything? You've broken the script. That silence, that's the moment she starts chasing. She smiles wider, plays with her hair, crosses her legs, dials up the femininity. Still nothing. You're sipping your drink, grounded, focused on the room, the air, your breath. And inside her head, a storm is brewing. What's wrong with me tonight? Does he not think I'm pretty? Is he thinking about someone else? Now you've entered the psychological game. You've become valuable again, not by giving more, but by withholding. Praise is a resource, and what's rare becomes sacred. You see, every time you compliment a woman without her earning it without effort, without mystery, you teach her that your attention is free. And what's free is never desired. That's why she keeps texting that one guy who ghosts her. That's why she smiles at the man who doesn't even notice her outfit. Because scarcity breeds obsession. Let me take you back to a memory. You're at a party. There's music, people laughing, drinks flowing. She walks in, eyes on you. And you feel it, that male instinct to conquer. You tell her she's gorgeous. You ask about her day. You compliment her voice, her shoes, her stories. You're trying to build rapport. You think she'll see your kindness and reward you. She doesn't. Instead, she looks around. She spots another guy, the one leaning against the wall, not even trying. She laughs a little too loud when he speaks. She leans in too close. And you're there, sitting, watching it happen. You gave everything. He gave nothing. She's obsessed with him because he's the mystery. You see the game now. Praise makes you visible, but silence makes you unforgettable. You don't speak because you're calculating. You don't flatter because you're impressed. You don't validate because you're chasing. You do it because you're trying to trade praise for security. And women don't want security. They want to feel uncertain. They want to earn you. If she doesn't fight to get a reaction from you, she stops valuing who you are. That's why the moment you pull back, speak less. Observe more. Compliment rarely, she goes into withdrawal. Her ego starts screaming. Why isn't he seeing me? But that's the moment she starts seeing you. There's a principle few men ever learn. The less you say, the more power your words carry. Think about the man who never compliments. When he finally says, "You look good tonight," it lands like a thunderclap. Why? Because it cost him something to say it. Because he doesn't toss his words like spare change. Your goal isn't to never praise. It's to make your praise an event, a milestone, a moment. She needs to feel that she worked for it, that it was pulled out of you, not spoon-fed, but extracted. And if she doesn't feel that effort, she discards the compliment like noise. Of course he said I'm beautiful, he always does. But when you go silent, when you pause when she has to wait, it turns your praise into a drug. One she can't predict. One she'll start chasing. And here's the irony, the less you compliment her, the more obsessed she becomes with extracting it. You become a challenge. And challenges breed desire. You're not here to be easy. You're here to be earned. You want her to light up when you speak. Then stop throwing sparks every 5 seconds. Let her sit in the dark for a while. Let her wonder when the next flicker will come. Let her work for the flame. Because here's the twisted truth, she's not addicted to the praise. She's addicted to the anticipation of it. It's not what you say, it's when you don't say it that defines your power. She wears something new. You see it. But instead of reacting, you just smile. Faintly. Maybe you nod. Maybe you keep the silence. And now she's thinking, did he notice? Why isn't he saying anything? Is something wrong with me? That's the hook. That's the psychological tension no compliment can ever buy. But most men can't handle that moment. It's too uncomfortable. Too silent. They rush in with the verbal reassurance like a man apologizing for existing. Wow, you look so good tonight. And just like that click, she's back in control. Because what you just gave her was a transaction. A gift with no price tag. And a woman without a challenge is a woman with a wandering mind. Look, this isn't about manipulation. This is about polarity. Masculine energy doesn't chase validation, it creates it. Feminine energy is reactive. It tests, and when your every word is pre-approved praise, there's nothing for her to react to. You've become emotionally cheap. Let me tell you something you already know deep down. Every time you compliment a woman too easily, what you're really saying is, please choose me. And she can smell it. That need, that softness, that weakness. But when you withdraw, when you go quiet, when you let the silence stretch, like a sword balanced on its edge, that's when she feels you. That's when she senses the presence of a man who doesn't need her to feel like a man who doesn't perform, doesn't flatter, doesn't bend. You become the flame that burns slow, the storm on the horizon, not loud, but felt. You become unforgettable because you're not trying to be remembered. Remember this. Every woman is chasing a feeling. And the men who trigger those feelings with absence, not words, are the ones who stick in her psyche like a splinter. Here's what that looks like in real life. You're out. She's telling a story. She's animated. She's watching your face. She's expecting a laugh, a compliment, something. And you give her stillness. You look at her, blink slowly, maybe raise an eyebrow, but you don't feed it. She's laughing, but you're silent. She touches your arm. You let her, but you don't react. And then her mind starts spinning. Did I mess up? Is he bored? Am I not enough right now? She doesn't realize it, but she's descending into craving. Not for your words, but for meaning, for your perception. And that is the most addictive currency a man can own. The perception a woman can't read. You become her favorite puzzle. She starts dressing up more, asking indirect questions, fishing for clues. You've become the source of uncertainty, and that is the birthplace of desire. Because women fall for men they can't predict. The moment you become legible, she's gone. And don't think you're immune. You felt this yourself. Think about the last time a woman made you chase. Not by rejecting you, but by not reacting. By being silent when you expected warmth. By disappearing for a day, you weren't angry, you were obsessed. It's the same system, but in reverse, eh? And yet, most men destroy that system by over-explaining, over-talking, over-praising, because they want to prove themselves. Let me be clear, if you have to prove it, you've already lost it. You don't need to tell her she's beautiful. She already knows you think so. You're sitting across from her, aren't you? That's the compliment. You don't need to remind her how amazing she is. You let her earn that perception by how she treats you. And when she earns it, when she's vulnerable, when she opens up and does something real, something feminine, Something rare, that's when you drop the praise, but drop it like thunder. Low voice, direct eyes, no smile. Just, you know what I do. Notice the way you carry yourself. That's rare. Then shut up again. That line will echo in her head for a week. Because you weren't reacting. You were rewarding. And those are not the same thing. One comes from fear, the other from command. Praise is not the problem. Predictable praises, instant praises, desperate praises. She doesn't want you to make her feel good. She wants you to be the man she has to impress. And that only happens when you stop complimenting like a puppy trying to be pet. You want her hooked? Then become the man whose opinion matters. And opinions only matter when they're rare. You're not starving her of kindness. You're starving her of certainty. And that's what makes you magnetic. Certainty is what most guys bleed out in the first 5 minutes. They give it away like it's nothing. You're the most beautiful girl here. You're so different from other girls. I'd do anything for you. That's not charm. That's confession. That's giving away your entire kingdom just because she smiled at the gate. But when you hold it in, when you make her earn the words, you're showing her that you are the gate. You are the prize. You are the one who names value, not the one begging to be noticed. That's what separates a high-value man from the rest. He doesn't speak to get a reaction. He watches, he observes, he controls the tempo. It's like a jazz musician. The rookie fills every space with notes, trying to impress the master. He plays 3 notes, then lets the silence breathe, because he knows silence isn't empty. It's charged. That's how you speak to women now, with restraint, with weight, with pause. Because here's a bitter pill when you flatter too much. She tunes you out. She still nods, still smiles, still says, "Ah, thank you." But it doesn't land. You've become background noise. Her dopamine doesn't spike anymore. Her curiosity doesn't spark. You're just another guy trying to win her with sugar. She doesn't want sugar. She wants salt. She wants the flavor of danger, because praise only works when it comes with friction, with the threat of silence, with the sense that you could be praising 10 other women, but you chose her. But when you throw it at her constantly, it means nothing. It's not a choice. It's a compulsion. That's why she doesn't fantasize about the nice guy who praised her every move. She fantasizes about the man who saw her deeply and said almost nothing, because the silence makes her mind wander. And that's where fantasy begins. The moment you stop talking so much is the moment she starts imagining more. What's he thinking? Does he like me? Why did he smile at that and not this? Now she's playing your game. And guess what happens next? She starts performing, dressing better, texting first, complimenting you. Because you created a void, and nature hates a vacuum. If you've ever wanted a woman to chase you, really chase you, it starts by creating absence. Not just physical absence, emotional absence, verbal absence. You want her to lean in, then pull your energy back. Because nothing stirs desire in the feminine like not knowing. But be warned, this takes discipline. Every part of you wants to say something nice when she looks amazing. You want to give her the moment, the warmth, the affirmation. Don't. Not yet. Let her reach for it. Let her feel the absence. Let her work to earn what used to be free. Because when she earns it, when you finally say, "You really handled that well," it hits 10 times harder. She remembers it, replays it, wonders when it will come again. That's how you become unforgettable. Not by flooding her, but by depriving her. Strategically. You are not her therapist. You are not her hype man. You are the challenge she wants to pass. And if you're thinking, but won't this make her insecure? That's the point. Not to harm her. Not to play games. But to trigger the one thing every woman craves but will never admit, the feeling of having to earn a man's admiration. You're not withholding praise out of cruelty. You're withholding it out of respect for its power. And that's what she'll feel. When a man compliments her too easily, she doesn't feel beautiful. She feels suspicious. Is he trying to sleep with me? Is he insecure? Does he even mean it? But when a man withholds when he sees her fully and says nothing, she starts to believe he's real. Because real admiration takes time. It's not about starving her forever. It's about contrast. You go silent. You observe. You create space. Then, at the right moment, you drop the line. Just one, and not even a full sentence. Something like, "I didn't expect that from you." She'll ask, "What do you mean?" You smile just enough. It's a good thing. Boom. That's it. That line becomes an itch in her brain. She can't scratch it. She can't explain it. But it buries itself in her psyche because you gave her a glimpse, not a flood, a window, not a door, and now she's hooked. Here's what you need to understand. The most addictive men aren't the ones who speak often. They're the ones who speak with impact. You don't build a throne by shouting. You build it by commanding silence. Your praise isn't supposed to be a blanket. It's a knife. Precise. Sharp. Rarely used. And when it is, she feels it in her bones. Because most guys drown her in words. But you let her drown in your absence. That's the difference. And let me tell you something else. A woman who never has to work for your approval will never respect you. She might like you. She might enjoy your company. But respect that only comes from tension, from a challenge, from the burn of not knowing where she stands. A woman doesn't chase what's given. She chases what's withheld. And when you finally give her something, a compliment, a smile, a slow nod, it's no longer just a word. It's a reward. That's why the guys who are most desired are the ones who seem hardest to impress. Not because they're arrogant, not because they're cold, but because they value their energy, their attention, their words. They treat their approval like a rare resource because it is. And women can feel that. They can feel the weight of a man who doesn't throw his approval like confetti. You've seen this before. You've seen women light up when a man says, "You're not like the others." Not because of the words, but because of who is saying it. If a man who compliments everyone says that, it means nothing. But if a man who says nothing finally gives that line, she feels chosen, and that feeling. That's what they crave more than anything else. Being chosen. But chosen by a man they had to earn. You're not punishing her by withholding praise. You're protecting your value. Because every man who floods her inbox with fire emojis and sweet nothings is already forgotten. She doesn't even open the messages. But the one guy who left her on scene, the one who hasn't spoken in a week. The one whose opinion she can't decode. He lives rent-free in her mind. Why? Because the feminine chases the unknown. And nothing is more unknown than a man who doesn't explain himself. That's who you become. Not a jerk. Not a manipulator. A presence, a puzzle. A standard. You don't stop complimenting because you hate women. You stop because you understand them. They don't want easy. They want earned. And once she earns it, once she finally pulls a line of genuine praise from your lips, she will never forget it. That moment becomes a memory, a fixation. Because it's not just what you said, it's what it cost her to get it. That's the scarcity principle in action. Praise is only powerful when it feels expensive. And if you're still struggling to believe this, look at your own past. The people who praised you constantly, you stopped hearing them. But the mentor who rarely said anything, the one who finally said, "I'm proud of you," you remember that sentence to this day. Because praise without struggle is noise. But praise after resistance, that's a milestone. So ask yourself, do you want to be the man who gives noise or the man who gives milestones? If you want to be unforgettable, then say less. Feel more. Watch closer, and when the moment comes, deliver the line like a gift forged in silence. Make her crave it, work for it, bleed for it, and then she'll follow you. She'll respect you, because she'll know your praise was never a performance. It was a judgment, and only kings judge.